What's up, everybody? Welcome back to this week's episode of the Log Talk podcast brought to you by Pert Near Outdoors. I'm pretty fired up for this one, but first let's jump into a quick calendar review of some of the events we've got coming up here around New York. So this weekend, which is let's see here, flip to this page, starting on Friday the 24th and the 25th and 26th, we've got the New York State Sportsman's Expo. And that's going to be held in Syracuse. So definitely encourage anybody who's in that area to stop by and check that show out. It's always good to get out and support your local hunting and fishing and outfitters, and also backcountry hunters and anglers. We'll have a booth there again this year. So we had a booth last year at that show. We had a booth at I believe it was a Suffern show down in Long Island last year. Be doing that again this year as well, and then out in Western New York too. So we're starting to gain some good traction with backcountry hunters and anglers here in New York, and growing membership. So it's great deal, and I've been fortunate enough to start working a little bit more with them and helping be a events coordinator for Region 9 out here in Western New York, primarily the Buffalo area. So pretty fired up about that, and I want to make this a little bit of a normal segment here where we check in what's going on, not just with backcountry hunters and anglers, but what's going on with other events around our state here in New York that would be pertaining or of interest to fellow outdoorsmen listening to this podcast. So, I'll just leave that there. So if you're in the Syracuse area, stop over and check out the show this week and this weekend. And if you stop by the BHA booth, tell them that Pert Near Outdoors sent you, and that you want something free. I don't know what they'll give you, but it's worth a shot. And make sure to buy your membership for the 2020 year. So be a pretty cool deal, and you'll get a chance to win a custom knife from Den Knives, which I've seen the pictures, and that thing is pretty sweet. So yeah, swing by and check that out. And then actually, in 2 weeks, on the 5th of February, Backcountry Hunters and Anglers is holding another event in the Syracuse area for a movie showing of a movie that BHA worked with, I believe, Onyx and a couple other companies to put together, called Public Land Grouse. So that should be a pretty cool event. And if you're in that area, go to backcountryhunters.org and check out the event information on that, and you can buy your tickets online. And definitely a great opportunity to get together and socialize with fellow outdoorsmen and women, and you can definitely enjoy and support a good cause there with the Public Land Grouse event that they're doing. So make sure to check that out, and that's that for our calendar review for the week. Next on the docket is to do a little housekeeping for Pert Near Outdoors. So this is my plug to encourage you to go over and check out our Facebook and Instagram page. Give us a like and a follow, or maybe comment on some of our stuff, and as well as this podcast. If you are hearing this for the first time, we'd really appreciate your support. If you go over and subscribe and check out a few of our other episodes, I think if you like what you hear in this episode, I think you'll like what we're all about, and what some of our previous stuff has been, as we had a pretty active hunting season and a bunch of episodes that I really enjoyed listening back to. So check that out. And if you are hanging around our pages and you'd like to support the podcast, probably the best way to do that is to use the link in our bio and do some shopping at some of the stores that we are doing some work with. So probably the biggest ones that are getting the most traffic are going to be Camo Fire is one. I am a Camo Fire addict, and I spend daily time on there just watching for good deals. If you haven't checked that website out, it's a pretty cool one. They do 24-hour specials on hunting gear, and stuff's always rotating through, and new product coming in. So I use this time of year quite a bit to stock up and purchase some stuff that's on sale, especially clothing and gear and that nature, where this time of year a lot of manufacturers are trying to dump old inventory of last year's stuff and get room for the new 2020 stuff to come in. So great time to buy. So if you are buying, jump over to those links and support us there. And we also have been continuing to do some work with Cabela's. So we got a link for them, as well as Mountain Ops. So if you're getting into a routine and doing the whole New Year's thing with trying to get healthy, Mountain Ops is a great company that has some good science-based nutrition, and I've been using this stuff for 3-4 years now. Protein and probiotics are the two that I use on a daily basis. I'm a big fan of the probiotic every day. Take that. It's a staple, and always are using their protein for that post-workout recovery stuff. So jump on over, use those links, and help support the podcast. Appreciate it. All right, so then let's get down to it. This week's guest is Jesse Coots. So I'm pretty pumped to have Jesse on, and when I had heard him on a couple different podcasts over the last year and put the pieces together that he was a local guy here in New York, I was very intrigued to want to get together with him and pick his brain a little bit and try to learn a little bit from him and what makes him so successful. So if you do know Jesse, he is a very forward individual, and I really appreciate that about him because there's doesn't hold any punches back, and he tells you how it is. And I think sometimes in the world we live in, that can be something that is hidden, and a lot of people are afraid to just tell you the way it is. So if you want to know and you ask Jesse, he's just going to tell you the way it is, and I really like that, and I appreciate it about him. So in this podcast, you're going to hear a lot of that. He's going to give you his opinions and his ideas, and I think if you take a minute and you listen to him and you kind of put the pieces together of what exactly he's talking about, we can all relate to this stuff and we can all learn from it. There's a lot of truth to what he's saying, and if we want something and you set yourself a goal, you can go out there and achieve it. And for myself personally, I can say that I'm at that point where I'm starting to have more success in the outdoors when it comes to figuring out how to put deer on the ground and how to kill them. That's a skill that's learned. Some people, I guess maybe you could say that it just comes naturally, but to me, it's something that I've had to go through and learn, and by no means have I figured it out. I still miss deer. I still have stuff happen. But I think that's what I wanted to get down to brass tacks with Jesse on, was kind of from the ground up, kind of learn how he got to where he is and understand, what has made him the successful hunter he is when it comes to putting big bucks on the ground, irregardless where he is, whether it's here in Western New York on small, heavily pressured pieces of property, or if it's going out into the Midwest and hunting open prairie land essentially and stalking in on big bucks, or if it's out chasing elk in the Rockies. So no matter where this guy seems to go, he gets it done. And I think there's a lot to learn from people like that. And I think this is kind of a cool episode to have following up after last week's with the guys from Hunters Creek, because at the end of the day, both groups of guys, well, I say groups, Jesse and the guys from Hunters Creek, are consistently getting it done on good deer every year. And they might be going about it a little bit differently as far as how they're talking about it, but at the end of the day, they all have very defined goals about what they were looking for, and they go out there and they get it. And it's a year-round passion, it's a year-round effort, and in order to achieve those goals, they don't lose sight of them. And that's what I'll leave you with there is listen to Jesse's story, listen to where he came from, how he got to where he is, and how he has grown as a hunter to maybe as he does not have as much time as he used to, he's still able to get it done because he's become wiser and he's become more confident in his approach and in his systems. So enjoy the podcast. Please let me know. Looking for some feedback. I think hopefully we'll get some feedback on this one, good, bad, or indifferent. I hope to do some more stuff with Jesse. And as you'll hear, he started his own platform. Hunt Different is the name of his podcast that he started, and he's going to be bringing some really good content out there too. So look forward to doing more with Jesse and continuing to work with and learn from him. And I hope you do the same. So thanks for listening. Appreciate it, and have a good rest of your week. All right, welcome everybody. So I am sitting here in the humble abode of Jesse Coots and his cohort, Kevin Keenan. Is that right? Kevin Keenan?
That's correct, yeah.
It's like double K.
That's right.
So I'm sitting down with these guys. So connected with Jesse. I had heard him back during the fall on a podcast with Mark Kenyon with Wired to Hunt. And he was talking about how mentioning a little bit that he was from New York. And when I kind of put the pieces together and realized that he was a local guy, you live less than an hour away from me, I was like, I'd really like to get in touch and kind of pick this guy's brain a little bit, because I think there's a lot that he could bring to the table, a lot he could share. And in the time since, you've actually started your own podcast, and which is very entertaining, I will say that, and I will definitely encourage everyone to go check it out. if you're into wanting to know, Jesse's big thing is like he wants to bring quote unquote killers, but people that really know how to go anywhere and get it done. He's got a lot of friends around the country that are just like him. So he's bringing those folks to you guys, and just, it is right there. This is how they're doing it, and they're sharing those stories. So you've only got a couple episodes out, and they've been very beneficial to me, hearing some of the stuff and the thoughts that are going through those guys' heads. So that was a lot of me just yammering. So welcome, guys. Thank you, Jesse, for having me here, and thanks for being on. And Kevin, howdy do?
Yeah, cool, man. Thanks for having us, Billy. Yeah. We appreciate it.
Number one question. Is this floor geothermal?
It is not geothermal. I own a natural gas well, so I'm going to burn as much raw fuel as I can.
Nice.
Let her
Green
eat.
energy.
Let it eat, baby. Yeah.
I'm sitting here. I'm like, this stone is warm.
Isn't it nice? Yeah. Radiant heat. I grew up poor and cold, and I always thought someday I'm going to have a nice warm house.
So it's radiant heat.
It's radiant
not
heat.
Geothermal.
It's not geothermal. Yeah. It's
there's heat in the floor.
It's radiant heat. Yeah. There's heat in the floor.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's so nice. I throw my Carhartts in here, and they're better than throwing them in the dryer. It's just my boots.
Nice slow dry.
Switch out boots. Yeah, they're just it's great. Yep. Thanks.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So right off the bat, just want to kind of turn it over to you, kind of get a little bit of your background. So you're, just in sitting here shooting the shit with you, this is where you grew up. This is your stomping grounds. So I kind of want to jump into your background. Like, how long you been hunting? Where did this whole passion take place? Because obviously, just me following you for the last 4 or 5 months, I can see that hunting is a huge passion of yours. So kind of want to understand, like, how did that fire get lit? And
yeah, sure. So I grew up, actually, I mean, this was kind of my stomping grounds. I grew up in Pavilion, 10, 15 miles from here. Same neck of the woods, and I farmed growing up, so I knew all these local guys and stuff. But I was very fortunate. I think I grew up on a little dirt road. We were the only house on the road. My parents divorced when I was really young, which was actually an advantage. They left me alone. My dad was pretty encouraging to be an independent person, and he always told me stories of cowboys and Indians and shit like that, So I just kind of grew up with a homemade bow and arrow and a BB gun, really, and kind of was left alone a lot. So that was actually probably not good for me and very good for me all
right,
in one.
At the same time.
Yeah. So that's kind of how I grew up, kind of just a farm kid that was kind of left to be a farm kid and dick around. And I was encouraged to, one of my chores was, I grew up on a horse farm, really, and one of my chores was any woodchuck needed to be killed immediately. So I always had a free rein with a 22 when I was, really, I think I got my first 22 when I was about 9 or 10, which would probably be, it was a used old piece of shit, single shot, no clip, just one round. I think that helped me a lot because it made me pretty, when I shot, it was a good shot. Looking back, I hated that gun as a kid because all my friends had pumps and semi-autos, but looking back, like, that's a really good thing for a kid to have. And, I lived with my mom, of course, saw my dad's on the weekends, and my mom was pretty good in the fact that she left me alone. And when I was old enough to hunt, it was like just anything that moved to get it killed, and we needed meat. Yeah. And I didn't look at that as an advantage, really, but looking back, it's like that was a huge advantage.
So when you were young, you were putting in that groundwork and learning how to kill.
Yeah, just I snuck up on everything. I was told I wasn't allowed to shoot robins, but and blue jays and bluebirds. But other than that, my mom wanted every sparrow shot. We couldn't shoot crows either. We actually had pet crows. Couldn't shoot crows. Couldn't shoot robins, but sparrows and purple grackles, man, I was death on them.
Watch out.
Yeah, I was death on them. So that was one of my tasks, and that was kind of how I grew up. And I don't think I was just a sneaky little farm kid,
Yeah.
But I wasn't a good hunter, I would say, until I really got quite a bit older. And I thought I was a good hunter, but I had a junk yard sale 50-pound bear recurve,
Yeah.
I had mismatched arrows, and I was kind of a clown, but I just hunted nonstop, so I thought I was good until I really, you get to high school, or really until I started wrestling playing varsity sports at a young age. I got to know guys that were 3-4 years older than me, and they took it, looking back, they were clowns too, but they were taking it more serious than I was, or exposed to other things. So once I kind of got with friends, they were. I learned a lot from some of the other local guys. I'm turning my phone off. Sorry about that.
It's all good. I didn't hear anything.
But so that we were pretty decent. And then it gave me the camaraderie. You know, you'd at least call people at night and say, hey, what'd you see, and this and that. It really wasn't until I got older, I would say, until I got to be like about 20. I had always killed stuff, and I had killed a few good bucks just through, you know, hunting a lot. But I wasn't really I was a killer, and that was it. I was not I killed anything that I could get a clean shot at was getting fucking killed.
Yeah.
So, and pardon my language for swearing.
That's what happened, though.
Yeah. So shit got killed around me, and then as I got older, you know, I kind of, you know, you got your own house, or you know, I got my own apartment, and really when I got my own apartment, my levels changed, and I kind of sounds bad, but I had a falling out with my dad of sorts, and you had written in your thing if you ever had an aha moment. Mm-hmm. And you know, you get to that 19, 20-year-old age, and you start to think for yourself more, and you realize that maybe your parents didn't give you the greatest advice in the world, or weren't, you know, you always think your dad's the strongest guy in the world, and then you realize like, he's actually not that strong, and shit like that. And started to self-evaluate and stuff like that and figure out hunting. And then it kind of pissed me off. I remember one time I was actually hunting with one of my buddies, Nate, which I never really hunted with people. And we were bow hunting together in a great it's still a good spot. And we had gotten together, and I said, you know, there's always deer over here. And there's always deer over here. I'm like, you go to one spot and I'll go to another spot. So he went to a spot and I went to a spot, and I bumped 2 nice bucks out of a spot. Looking back, they were like 110, 120 inch deer. But back then, I mean, it was like that's like seeing a 150 now. It's like, oh man, he was a good deer. So met up with Nate, and Nate's like, yeah, I saw a really nice buck. And that night I just couldn't sleep, and I remember thinking like, fuck, like I am seeing good, every year I see good deer. Like there's good deer in this area, and there's good deer everywhere I've ever been. There's good deer. And that was really my tipping point, because I went to the same spot that my dad showed me to go as a kid. And my dad wasn't a good hunter. I thought he was the best hunter in the world. Yeah. You know, he killed 1 deer with his bow and arrow. One doe.
But that's who you're looking up to.
Oh, that's your, point, yeah. He was, you know, your dad's your legend. So I remember I go back to this spot every now and then. It's a really good, it's a core spot that you don't go to. I'll shed hunt it. In fact, I'm looking forward to going there. But every year there's one tree, the tree stand is still growing into it. We used to make these homemade climber tree stands before climbers were available. Really ghetto. Yeah. But they worked.
They worked? Yeah.
They
didn't fall?
Oh, no, they fell.
Oh, okay.
We took some diggers out of that. But my dad's an interesting person. But I remember climbing up in this shitty tree stand and sitting there, and there's trails everywhere. It's such a good spot. And I remember sitting there thinking like, man, what am I doing? What am I doing wrong? Like, why? I'm doing everything that everybody tells me to do. Like, I don't know why I'm not killing deer. There's clearly deer here. There's deer trails everywhere. This has to be good. I never see deer here. Well, I was sitting on the upwind side of the bedding grounds, and I was walking to it with the wind at my back, because that's the way my dad taught me to go in there. So, I kind of right then, and I had really genuinely had a falling out with my dad and hadn't talked to him, and was questioning a lot of things in life. And right then I was like, the fuck? You know, I'm getting the same results every other clown is getting, because I'm listening to these clowns. And I remember trying to think like, erase everything. Yeah. I remember thinking like, only go with what you know is a fact. And I remember thinking, the whole way I walked into this property, the window was my back. And I thought, I wonder what this piece of ground would be like if I came in from the other side. Well, to come in from the other side, it's like a mile walk. 20 years old, doesn't matter. I'll walk I'm 43 now, I'll still walk. Yeah, right. I don't care how far I have to walk. So, and I didn't understand morning hunts and evening hunts then. You just hunted the same stand, your lucky stand, you know, it just didn't matter. So I kind of started to put that together, where they feed, where they bed. And the following day I went in and slipped in, used my new idea and slipped into that same property on the downwind side. And I'd never seen so many deer in my life. So right then I was like, I fucking got it. Like, this is step one, hunt everything. Attack everything from the downwind side and slip in the cover of darkness, and then slip the fuck out. So that was when I mastered that spot, shot my first arrowed my first Pope and Young caliber deer in a spot in a time, I thought it was like 1990. I don't know what year it was. It had to have been the mid to late 90s, probably like 98. Mm-hmm. And you just didn't hear of people killing 130s, you know. And so I was pretty tickled, and then I had it. I kind of had it. I thought in my mind I got this figured out, and I kind of started evaluating ground, and I still use that same piece of ground in my mind as a reference anytime I look at a piece of ground. And one of my other buddies, Nate, we went to his ground, and I'm like, dude, you can't attack this from here anymore. We're attacking it from this way. And we started doing that, and then he started killing big deer, and it was like, fucking, I'm onto it. Like, this is fun. And
that's cool.
Then it became addicting, and I started to really understand it. And then I started not talking to people anymore. You know, I love talking hunting, but I stopped. Unless somebody was a consistent killer, the conversations just stopped, and I almost became introverted in hunting, and it's really been good for me. And I just think I try and I know that sounds rude, but it's like if I'll go to parties, I still talk hunting with people, but I usually just say, yeah, that's awesome, you know, and I try not to throw too many of my ideas out there because it sounds arrogant or rude, but and I try not to listen to theirs because sometimes it's like, well, you killed a 6-pointer on the last day of season, and it sounds desperate to me, you know?
Yeah.
I don't really care for your input. It doesn't make any sense to me, and if you tell them what you think, you're a dick.
Yeah.
So I just kind of stayed introverted, and then I got where I was figuring out and kind of tipping over good bucks early season every year, and that's when I started hunting out of state because, you know,
you got all the time
second day of fucking season, it's like I'm done. Like, I'm done. I don't have anywhere to go. So
yeah,
I started hunting Ohio, and then of course I started loving elk hunting and mule deer hunting, so I started going to Montana and Colorado and Kansas and all over.
Just adventuring.
It just kind of snowballed. Yeah. Yep.
Well, and I'm glad I asked that question because I think for every hunter, you know, it happened for you at 21, 22 years old or 20 years old, whatever you were. And I think for everyone, at some point you have that, it like all of a sudden it just clicks, whether it's something you heard or it's something you witnessed or you experienced. And hunting inherently is just, it's what you heard someone else did. And it's like, oh, okay, well, he's my hunting buddy, so I'm going to do what he does.
Right.
And then you start looking at the success that they're having, and it's like, but is that what I want? And is what they're doing affecting either my success or is it affecting their success and they don't want to change? So it's like, it's interesting. And I think it's something that's thought provoking to me. And this year I had a couple of those situations where I was like, oh my God, like I found a spot up at our camp that is a very difficult spot to hunt. You know, the deer are in there, but I figured out a way. And it was only 2 days back to back, but I found this sign the day after opening day of gun, colder than hell, snow on the ground, and I found just a pile of beds, pawed up acorns in the pines, and I'm like, okay. And then I come back there the following week is Thanksgiving. I come back there and I sneak down the hill with the thermals the way that they need to be for me to get there, and I pop over the hill, and there's just a pile of deer in there. Yeah. And I'm like, oh
Ding.
My God.
Yeah.
And so then I sneak out in the darkness and I come back in the morning and the sun comes up and those deer are in the same spot feeding. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
And then I had a buck slip through. It was a good buck, but he was in with all the deer and they started moving. And it's one of those real steep side hills where you can't, I mean, I had one little window and all of a sudden I see a good glance of horn and it's like, oh, he's gone. But it's like, it clicked.
Right.
And I've been hunting that same area for years. Like that's a spot that I love to hunt, but I've never gotten a good deer there, a good buck. I've shot bucks, but nothing that is going to go up on the wall or be poking you or anything like that. But that clicked. It's like, how am I approaching this? Every time I approach this, I've been doing it the same way over and over
that's
again.
right. Your entrance and your escape, I think, is extremely neglected by people. And my entrance and my escape is everything. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't get preached. It doesn't get, I don't think I've ever read an article about it. And I haven't read articles in years, but I mean, as a kid, every page I can, if I pick up an old hunting magazine, I can almost recite everything in it. And your entrance and your escape, in my opinion, are huge. That's everything, because there's I mean, you can go in any woods and there's deer sign everywhere, and this looks amazing. You're reading old sign because
the sign's made during the middle of the night.
Once every moron comes in the woods and starts spooking shit, everything changes.
Yeah.
So, and they hang stands and do all this which is fine, but deer pick up on that.
Yeah.
And they know how to elude us.
Yeah. So like, and you made comment that you started having success very early in the archery season, especially. So for the longest time, it was October 15 was the opener.
Yeah, that sucked.
It sucked. And now being October 1st, you're catching those deer sometimes still in their summer
so
patterns.
So easy. Yeah. I remember literally the 15th is really when things start to flop. And for a year, I think I don't know how many years, for quite a few years, I tagged out on the 15th or the 16th. Like I worked hard just to get my target bucks killed then. And I remember being so excited when I heard that they were going to, because now October 1st is summer pattern. They're on there.
Yeah.
The crops the soybeans haven't turned, the alfalfa. I mean, they're really so easy if you put in that time. Mm-hmm. I don't want other guys to do this. I just want the easy pickings for myself.
Yeah, right. Just speaking for a friend. Yeah.
Yeah. Asking for a friend.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do like getting them. It depends on where you live. And your podcast is mostly based around New York guys.
Yeah,
right?
New York. We've got some people out of state that are listening, but the majority of the listeners are from New York. But we have such a diverse. So like here is very similar to where I am in Wyoming County. You're kind of flat on top of ridges, hills.
Where do you live?
I live in Varysburg.
Oh yeah, I love that area.
Yeah, so
I know that area pretty well.
Do you?
Yeah. Yep.
So I live in the town of Sheldon, so I'm up on top where all the windmills are.
Yep.
So for the first time in my life, when I moved out there and I met my wife, that's why we live there, is because of my wife. That's where she grew up. But I had never in my entire life hunting our camp in Naples. We're on Side Hill with all these little valleys, and so the wind is just never. The only thing consistent is thermals. But growing up, we never talked about thermals. Sure. It was just never a thing.
Sounds like elk hunting.
Yeah. So now that I'm thinking that way because I did so much, I've been out west to hunt now twice. And you listen to all these podcasts and you hear what these guys are talking about. A lot of that stuff applies very well to the Appalachian region where we have these bigger mountains and these deeper ravines and valleys. So you can apply that there. But when I moved out to where I am now and I'm hunting with the guys I'm hunting with out there, you're on top of a huge ridge. So the wind is fairly consistent. You have a couple little spots where you got little rises or whatever, but all of a sudden they're like, no, we don't. And these guys out, my wife's family, the Kirsches, they've had great success out there, and they're small farm. They've had great success with tons of pressure around, but they hunt the wind, and I had never experienced that. So that was like, to me, I'm like, wow, that looks like a great spot for a stand. They're like, well, yeah, it's a great spot, but the wind is fucking ruining the whole woods.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like they know what they're doing because a lot of people still don't pick up on that. It drives me nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great area. I killed a good one close to Camp Waiamoko. You got to be familiar with that.
Yeah, that's up off Center. It's right on Center Line.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. We used to live. We lived in Attica for a while. We lived in Wyoming for a while.
Nice.
It's all smoke show ground.
Yeah,
it is. A good one. Every Blackwoods has a good buck.
Definitely, and it's like you wonder where they go, and it's fun because now, I mean, you go down wormholes with this, but everybody in a way is so well connected that. Like, what deer are around. I mean, there's a good buck that's hanging in our block that everybody's got tons of pictures of, and literally no one saw him during season. He disappeared, and everybody's hunting. Like, there's not that much woods there. So, but the good thing is that we've all kind of taken the approaches that we're not. It used to be 15 years ago. It didn't matter where guys were just pushing everything.
Yeah.
And so now it's like. Everybody's hunting their blocks. Everybody's cognizant. We're not pushing bedding areas. Yeah. So we're getting bigger bucks because these deer have somewhere for sanctuary.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you have respectful guys because that's really why there's never been. New York is such a shit show of a state, because for one, we're allowed to kill 2 bucks, which is stupid. Mm-hmm. And it's just always had that. When you start hunting out of state, you'll realize what a disrespectful, shitty state New York is, in my opinion, compared to other states. And how many guys over harvest, I got my wife's tag, I got my aunt's tag. That's bullshit. And it happens a lot.
It happens a lot.
Yeah, that's right. And guys who actually will admit that, I know everybody that does this. There's guys that say, it doesn't happen. Bullshit. And that's why you'll get guys that shoot 4 or 5 bucks a year, and they'll just recycle the tag. Well, that's why those guys will never kill consistent big bucks, because they're just raping their harvest.
Yeah.
They're killing these deer 3 years earlier than they need to, and that's why. And they're stealing from their neighbors. They're stealing from everybody. That's what it is.
And the fact of the matter is, I mean, not every area in New York is, which is crazy if we start getting into that conversation, is that there's areas where you can't even get doe tags. Like literally, there's hunting units that you can't even get doe tags in New York, but yet you can go shoot $2.
So stupid.
You know what I mean? It's crazy. And I never really thought about it that way, but it is.
So stupid.
But I think about around here, it's like you've got farms. If you need meat, go shoot does. Like I have a riot shooting does. I get just as fired up sometimes shooting does.
I've shot more does than anybody I've ever met. I love them.
Yeah,
I absolutely love I love killing them. They're great eating. I've never shot a deer that did. I shot one deer that didn't taste good, and it was an Arizona mule deer. It was fucking terrible.
Really?
And the guy that I killed it with, he's like, we were actually camping, and I'm like, I'm gonna fucking cut a backstrap out of that motherfucker and eat him tonight. And he's like, I'm not eating that. He's like, we're gonna make sausage out of that nasty bastard. And I'm like, no way, this will be great. I think I told you about that.
You tried it and it wasn't. It didn't.
It's the worst piece of fucking meat I've ever had in my life.
Was it the taste or was it the?
It tasted like tarsal gland.
Really? So
I was fucking hungry. We were in the middle of fucking nowhere. I was ready to eat. I was so proud of this buck and so happy to. We were hungry. I was hungry as fuck. And I fried that. I threw that thing on a rock and put it in the fire and over some coals and pulled it out of there. And he was eating fucking Mountain House. And he's like, I'm not eating that shit. I'm like, throw it right in your. He's like, nope, get it the fuck away from me. He's like, you've never had an Arizona mule deer. I'm like, yeah, it'll be good. I put salt and pepper on it. You know, and I had my backpack. He was right. It was fucking. And I tried to fake my way through. I'm like, oh, it's not that bad. And I was like, man, this is fucking terrible. Right. But other than that, I mean, I've shot some. These deer are all old deer. They're fucking delicious.
Yeah.
They're delicious.
It's so much in the preparation. I mean,
they're actually not old deer. I mean, these deer are like 4.5, 5.5 years old.
Yeah.
Big fucking deal. That's not old.
Yeah. And a lot, I mean, it all comes back to, I didn't think that we were going to get into the conversation about, and I'm not very well versed in whether it's good, bad, or indifferent as far as the deer herd wise, as far as numbers we have. But it's like, you know, it doesn't, we go to Pennsylvania every year, and when they change that to have an antler restriction down there, and when they put, I don't know if it's always been one buck down there, I'm not quite sure, but you know, there's a lot of bucks down there, and there's some good age class bucks that you just don't see them. If you go to public land around here, you're not seeing a 2.5, 3.5-year-old buck. There might be some running around, and some of the best hunters around that hunt that area, they might get in there and get them before anybody else gets in there.
I've seen some good public land bucks come around here, but yeah, I know what you mean.
Well, we
don't have that much public land.
No, I mean, and I've kind of started venturing the last couple of years on some of the public land down and around our camp, because, you know, we got so many guys going to our place, and you just don't have control over, you know, there's just a lot of hunting pressure. So you go and venture some of these pieces of state land, and there's incredible habitat there. There's good opportunity, but it's like, you know, how many other people have been here, and the pressure, and it's, if you're going after that mature buck, you really need to do your homework and get in there early, or get into a spot where you know other people aren't going to go, that might be at the top of a mountain or in the bottom of a ravine where nobody wants to pack something out. That's where I'm finding the good sign, that I feel like, you know, and I guess I'd be interested in your opinion of that, because that was one of the things I want to talk about, is like, how do you approach, like, where you hunt around here, this is high pressure. I mean, there's, whether you have to have 1,000 acres to be able to control the pressure.
Oh, fuck.
You know?
Yeah. So I think my approach to hunting high pressure, if you're living in a place where it's high pressure, like where all of us live,
yeah,
the number one step you can do, I think the first step you can do, is to try and encourage everyone around you to be a smart fucking hunter and not be a douchebag. That's the fucking fact. Yeah. And tell them, listen, there's fucking big deer here. I'm not shooting any of these fucking deer because they're not big enough, or whatever. And this is conversations I've had with people. We're all hunting this fucking block. We're all hunting that block. We're all hunting over here. I'm not shooting anything. I'm not shooting anything this year here. I don't give a fuck about this 110-inch deer, because I have some bunch of those. If you guys want to kill a 110-inch deer, fucking fine. After you kill one, if you guys actually want to get to the next level and start killing big fucking deer, we got to stop shooting this shit.
Yeah.
And, oh, we're not all fucking horn hunters, blah, blah, we need to meet. There's fucking 60 does out there. Shoot a fucking doe. Shoot 10 of them.
Right.
You need tags? Holler. I know tons of people that will transfer tags to you.
Yeah.
So if you can also help people, which I hate to do, but it has been phenomenal for me. Other people that have permission on ground that I hunt, I'll say, listen, I'm not going to hunt here. I'm not going to hunt this. This is your fucking corner. Own it. You own it. This is a good spot. This is the best fucking spot. You hunt here. I'm getting the fuck out of here now. I'm going to go over to this fucking corner. Stay the fuck out of that corner. Deal?
Deal.
Yeah. All right, so don't fuck with my spot. And by the way, there's a good buck running this. You're fucking bumping them every day when you walk through that alfalfa field, you dumbass. You're blowing them out of there. I don't want to tell you that because you're pushing them over to me. But just so you know,
damn right.
You might want to start fucking thinking about that. You're walking through the food source where they are every fucking morning and you're spooking them.
Yeah.
And then explain to them when you leave your tree stand, because you're hunting the same fucking stand for morning and night, you're walking through the alfalfa and blowing all the fucking deer out of here. Walk through the woods. Well, it's dark in the woods. You're a grown man. Fucking walk through the woods in the dark and leave that fucking headlamp at home for your kids. You should be able to walk through the woods without a fucking headlamp, dumbass. But anyways, I know that sounds arrogant, but it's really has worked well for me. I've formed good friendships with everybody and respect. Like there is nobody around here that'll be like, oh, Jesse Coots treads on me. The fucking no way. Because I respect where they're at as long as they respect where I am at. And years ago, I would say 10, 15 years ago, there's still people that fucking tread on me. But usually we can form a relationship and stay the fuck away from me. Yeah. And I'll stay the fuck away from you. But there's always, every year in fact, after this fucking podcast, there's going to be, it's a fucking fact.
Yeah.
People will be fucking looking to figure out where I hunt, which is great. I've killed deer all over the country, and I'll kill one and somebody will say, I fucking was watching that deer. This fucking deer came from Kansas, or this deer came from fucking Iowa.
Right.
You did not ever see this fucking deer. But anyways, step number 1 to killing big bucks is to form a good relationship and think future investment.
Yeah.
If you really want to kill big deer, you can't think about this year or next year. You need to think about 3 or 4 years from now and get people to let shit walk.
Yeah.
And if everybody that kills a year and a half old or a 2.5 year old, if you motherfuckers could just wait, if everybody just said, fuck it, I'm not going to kill anything.
Yeah. You
all would kill those deer 2 years from now. They'd be 3.5, 4.5 year old deer. And they'd all look like this. And you'd be like, holy fuck. Yeah. I read a thing one time in a magazine about, and I think it was, somebody else will know the facts on this. I don't know if I think it was Wisconsin or Illinois. They closed their hunting season, I believe, for 2 years for some fucking reason. I can't remember what it was. Somebody, maybe one of your listeners will know and fill you in on this shit. But I remember reading this article, and it was about a guy from North American Whitetail. It was in his, and he killed 2 booners that year when they opened it up. And he said it was amazing. Every blackwoods they went into, they fucking pushed out giants. And he killed he killed like a 180 and a 210. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I was amazed. He goes, that's when I became a deer manager, because I was amazed with adding 2 years to these deer's lives. Right. Was fucking unbelievable. But you can't get that here in New York, because these guys will shoot a fucking 90-inch deer and they're like, yeah, well, I couldn't let him go. Well, yeah, that's great. You're done. But then they're like, well, I still got, and then they'll get a 120 and they're like, I couldn't, I fucking had to shoot him. And it's like, oh, you're a douchebag and you're ruining it. Yeah. Like you're ruining your own harvest. So,
but I think
I'm a dick that way. And that's why I don't talk hunting.
You've become a dick.
100%. No, so, I would agree with you.
And that's why I wanted to kind of start with your background, is that you grew into having the success that you're having. Okay.
Oh yeah.
You didn't just start walking through the woods and shooting groundhogs, and next thing you know, you're shooting Boone and Crockett bucks.
Although I have probably shot 4 deer that are under 120.
Yeah.
Because I have no fucking, I shot a 4-pointer. I think I've shot 4 deer that scored in a 120, but I've shot over 200 does. I will fucking pile does. I like getting deer killed. It doesn't mean everybody has to be that way. And the guys that are genuinely happy to kill a 90-inch deer, I don't give a fuck. That's great. And I have friends that are like, I only get out 2 days a year. Fuck, I don't blame them at all. It's when they bitch and cry, there's no big bucks around here, must be nice. It's like, well, fuck you. You know, those guys I don't care for.
You just hit it. I think that's the whole point of this entire conversation, is that if somebody's going to sit back and say that we can't have this stuff in New York,
oh my goodness,
and they are not committed to trying to make that happen, then you're part of the problem.
Yeah, that's right. You got to be a long-term investor.
Yeah, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to raise my hand and say I'm one of those guys to this point that has not been invested in that because I'm trying to learn how to kill.
Podcast over. Fuck this guy. No, I'm just kidding. I'm totally I'm
going to finish my beer.
At least you can admit it. So I have a cousin. This is a perfect example. I've got a cousin that owns a farm, not far from in Peoria, and I don't even know how many acres they own. Not much, but it's beautiful ground, just beautiful ground. And he never hunted. He's 10 years older than me. He never ever hunted, and he actually took his nephew hunting one day, and he took him only just to get this kid out hunting, and he was probably 30 at the time, and he's like called me because he knew I loved to hunt. And he was like, holy fuck, we had such an amazing morning. You know, I saw this. He actually shot a buck. And he's like, he goes, I haven't shot a bow and arrow since fucking archery class in school was his term, back when schools had archery class.
Yeah.
So he fell in love with bow hunting, and he's like 100%. He didn't fall in love with, I should take that back. He didn't fall in love with bow hunting. He fell in love with big bucks. Yeah. Like he went from zero. He has never shot anything under 120 ever. So anyways, he literally has the property that you could have. The problem is he's got one strip in between him that is the nicest spot. We call it the gully. And then there's a couple other farmers around him. And it was always, everybody was welcome to hunt everybody's ground. So Jack's like, oop, I shouldn't say his name. You got to edit that motherfucker out.
I'll edit that.
So he was like, Jess, how the fuck? He's like, how do I make this a great hunting spot? I'm like, step number one, no more deer drives. If you really want to manage deer, no more deer drives. Leave the fucking deer alone. Learn how to actually hunt deer, not do deer drives like you're herding animals. So this fucking kid turned that place into a mecca.
Yeah.
And I go, I guarantee you in 2 years, you're literally going to be shooting bigger deer than I work hard all year. And every spot I have, you will be trumping me. He trumps me, I would say, 2 out of 3 years, he's shooting bigger deer than me. It's unfucking believable. He told all of his neighbors, I love you guys. You can do whatever you want on your property, but don't push our property anymore. I don't want anybody on it. So then they started seeing what he's killing. The guys that own the gully are like, yeah, fuck, killing giants. I've never seen so many good deer.
I'll edit that out too. Or did you change the name?
I don't give a fuck. And everybody already knows that. Everybody knows this spot. And they're like, dude, this is unbelievable. They stopped doing it. And the other farmers up here weren't happy about it because they're old school and they hated me because Jack would be like, well, Jesse says. And I don't give a fuck, but it's a fucking fact. All of those 3 landowners have never killed so many big bucks. In 50 years of hunting, they've killed more big bucks in the past 3 years than they did in the last 50 years. And it's because they all got on the same page. They agreed, all right, we're not shooting anything unless it's big. And I mean, deer, it isn't a problem. They go out and see. Jack's ground is unbelievable. It's just unbelievable. And I mean, seeing deer, it's fun. Now it's actually hunting. They're tactically hunting certain deer, and they all have a great relationship. And they're like, oh, you know, and they're naming them. Oh, we saw a cliffhanger, which I think is gay to name your deer, but whatever. But it's amazing, and they literally have in New York what people in Ohio and Illinois have. And it's because they're managing it. They're working together, and they don't tread on each other. I mean, those fucking guys do not. They're neighbors. They're all running a farm. They have to keep a business relationship, but they genuinely appreciate and care for each other, and they don't tread on each other. And that's something we're missing. And I have it with a few people that have properties, have permission on properties to hunt. They know, like, I'm not fucking with Jesse's corner. And you know what? Jesse never fucking comes into this spot. We kill fucking big deer on these different spots. And the problem is there's other guys that fucking walk through it and fucking ruin everything. And there's always people that sneak in that don't have permission. But it's amazing. You get guys on the same page. And if you want success for your neighbors and your friends, that will help you. I guarantee you There have been so many big deer killed, and I've really helped people, and I've given so many people sheds. I'm like, here's the fucking sheds of the deer you killed. This one guy I gave a beautiful set of sheds to, and he killed a gagger. But wanting success for your friends and your neighbors helps a lot.
Yeah.
It's when they can constantly keep fucking you over, it's like, fuck you then.
Yeah.
And I feel like...
and that's what I could tell from chatting with you, and you and I have talked quite a bit on the phone over the last 2 months or so. And I mean, who am I? I'm just some random dude that just messaged you on Facebook and said, hey, can I have you on my podcast? But you've been genuine enough to me, and that's why I think, you know, you come off as being like super coarse and like I hunt it by myself. I do all this.
Rough, I know.
You're rough, but dude, everything you just said, and if people are listening to this, they're hearing that you can do this stuff. It doesn't matter where you are, whether you have 100 acres in the best farmland around, or if you've got a block of timber, you can turn your property into what you want it to be, but you have to have everybody on the same page.
100%.
That's the only way it's going to happen.
People rape and pillage their own spot, and then they're like, oh fuck, I'm gonna go over to so and so's, and I don't hunt here much, I'm gonna fuck it up. Don't do that. Start respecting your spot. I've killed some fucking slammers on 6-7 acres. Mm-hmm. My best spot is a 6-acre thicket. It's 6 fucking acres. It's probably not my best spot. I'd say it's my top 3 spots. It's fucking gold. Nobody really goes there. It's gold because nobody fucks with it. And it's amazing how when the pressure turns on, that's a good little spot.
Yeah.
But all my spots, I don't have any spot to myself. None. They all are fucking shared. However, everybody has a respect that has permission on that. Now, there's other guys, and I guarantee you after this podcast, especially because it's local, there's going to be new guys that'll snoop around. It happens every fucking year. And I have one spot I can post up, and it's almost comical because I'll put my name on those fucking post-it signs, and everybody thinks that's where everything comes from, and I fucking love it. And it is a good spot. I love it. But it's not like that's not where everything comes from.
Yeah.
And it really comes from respect, and we really lose that. If you want to see your neighbor do well, you'll all do well together. And we don't have that. If you're hunting, if you have a good spot, if you have anything to hunt, respect it, take care of it, and encourage other people that have permission to hunt that. Give everybody their little section, but hunt it fucking smart. There are big deer everywhere. I fucking hate when people will not hate. Kevin will be a perfect example of this. Every year, I would say there's 3 or 4 people that are like, hey, come check out my ground. Tell me what you think of this. Kevin was one of them. Kevin's like, hey, you got to come check out my ground. Holy fuck. There's big fucking deer everywhere.
Really?
Every block I go to, it's like, and truthfully, there's another guy that'll be a perfect example of this. His name's Brian. Brian is a friend and a neighbor. He's actually distantly related. And he's like, hey, I've got X amount of acres to hunt. Come and look at this sometime. And this was like 5 or 6 years ago. So I'm like, all right. And I know his parents. So he's like, I'll meet you at my parents' house. So we go to his parents' house, and I'm like, he's like, yeah, we're going to walk out back. And I'm like, well, this isn't, like, we can't attack this from out back. Let's drive all the way around, and we're going to come from this other block. He's like, well, we don't own that. I'm like, all right. Is there any way they'll give you permission to walk across literally 100 yards, and then it's your property line? He's like, let me call him. Calls him. Oh, absolutely, Brian. No problem. We're not going to hunt it. We just want to walk across it. It was actually before hunting season. So I took my binoculars and my tripod, and we go in, we glass this. It's like September. Glass this. I saw a fucking 150-inch whitetail and a couple 120s. It's just a bachelor group. He's like, those are the biggest bucks I've ever fucking seen on this property. Yeah, you're fucking bumping them every time you walk in this with the wind at your back.
Right.
But anyways, it's people get stuck in doing the shit the same old way. There's big bucks everywhere. They're in everybody's block. So if you're hunting a spot and you're thinking, oh, there's no big bucks here, you might want to pay attention. There's probably big bucks there. It's the way you're attacking it. And if you're worried about somebody else is going to get it before you, you got the wrong fucking attitude. Like, I want the guys that hunt every piece of ground I hunt, I want them to get on big bucks, because once they start killing big bucks, and this is a fact, once these guys start killing big bucks, they become addicted to it.
Right. And
they love it. And that used to be a 120 was a big buck. Then it was a 130. And now everybody's like, holy fuck, there's a 150-incher out here. And I'm like, yep, fucking hold out.
Yeah.
And they're fucking passing up 130-inch deer because everybody wants to kill that 150. And when one of us kills it, I'm fucking genuinely happy. Like, fucking yes.
Yeah.
Like, I want one of the guys to get this. I either want to kill it myself or I want one of these motherfuckers to get it. I don't want to see fucking douchebag Joe Blow that just walks through and doesn't give a fuck, and this is the third deer he shot. I don't want him getting it.
Yeah.
I want to stay loyal to this group. So there's people I don't really genuinely care for, but they have permission there. I want them to fucking kill big deer as long as they're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm long-winded.
No, everything you just said is so right. And I think it's an addicting thing for the longest time. And I mean, do you run a lot of trail cameras or?
Dude, I am the most technologically.
Okay, so you are just go out with your binos at night and look at a.
Yeah, I do run cameras. I am not. I actually was telling one of the guys in the shop, I think there's like 3 cameras that I'm missing. That's my dog. You get that dog, Kevin, you gotta start talking.
Kevin's a dog guy. Kevin, you can't get a word in edgewise
the
here.
Fuck.
Jesse never stops talking.
I'm pretty sure I have like 3 cameras that are in the woods from 8 years ago.
Right.
I'm not, and I don't want to come out. Hey, come on in the other room. Our dog just came in. Thanks, Kevin. I am.
You do good work, Kevin.
Yes, thanks, Kevin. You are sweet. Would you give me a beer while you're up? I think cameras are great. I have a little bit of animosity towards cameras in the fact that, and I know I know people are going to be like, oh, he's a dick. It's a little bit of cheating. I use them, so I'm a hypocrite. I think cameras fuck people, and if you're listening to this and you run a lot of cameras, think about this. I have so many people show me pictures of big deer, and they're like, look at this buck, look at that buck. They're all nighttime pictures, or they are daytime pictures, and I shit you not, hunting season comes, and these fucking guys check these cameras so much, and they're so addicted to them that they can't fucking stop. And these deer are picking up on the movement in there, and they're putting them in the bedding grounds or in these perfect little food plots. And it's like, just stay out of there. Let these deer have when deer feel safe and have a safe haven, you can kill a deer at fucking noon. Perfect example is you.
Kevin killed a deer?
Kevin,
Not this year.
we stumbled onto a dandy at noon the first time I ever went to look at his property.
Really?
And I literally said to him, we were walking through the field, and I'm like, this is not what we're walking through the middle of a fucking field. I feel naked. I think I said I feel naked. Like, we're going to stumble onto a fucking I've killed a lot of big bucks at noon.
The intention wasn't really to be hunting.
Yeah.
But
so he did. You were close to getting that one fucking killed. But point in case, like when he has just an amazing, like, fucking sweet spot. I don't have anything like what he has. Like, literally, it's amazing. I actually, besides my buddy, my cousin Jax, I've never seen anything like his place. It's amazing.
Is it family land or is it?
Yeah.
Don't tell him fucking anything.
No. I got on X. I'll figure out where it is.
Change the topic.
I'll just hop the Genesee River and come on over and see it.
It's just amazing. I mean, it's...
no, that's where, I am absolutely nowhere near the caliber Jesse is when it comes to killing deer, but I've hunted my whole life and grown up in that hunting community, but where we differ is he's a killer, and I honestly spend more time thinking about habitat.
Yeah.
That's kind of my
Kevin
thing.
is definitely an enjoyer of the atmosphere and he loves just seeing deer, which I do too. I don't want to come off like a dick. You are really, like, happy to shoot him with his camera.
Yeah.
Not me.
Yeah. No,
I'm ready to kill those motherfuckers and go to the next state.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of hunting is that it can be whatever you want it to be. At the end of the day, I mean, you go out there and you see, and you get some. I've seen a lot of. I mean, I watch a lot of your photography, and I see some of your pictures of deer, and I'm like, damn, that's an awesome
unbelievable.
Picture. Like, incredible.
Yeah, the videos he has is just like, dude, I would have thrown the camera out of the tree and ran up to that deer and fucking arrowed it.
Yeah.
And Kevin's just like, nah, it was good footage. I didn't want to arrow it. Why?
Yeah.
No, I've had good success there. I've been fortunate and got a couple on the wall, so I don't know.
Yeah, you're not in it maybe for the same reasons, but you do enjoy it.
Absolutely.
But you're an outdoorsman. I mean, you're literally always
Yeah, you're out and
there,
about
always
all the
walking
time.
around.
Yeah.
I think that's the cool thing about hunting is that Jesse, you have your way.
Yep.
Kevin has his way. I got my way. But like why I really wanted to have you on here is because your way is against the grain. And I think against the grain a lot of times doesn't get shared because people are like, oh, that's not, we don't want to talk about that. It's like,
boy, against the grain, I have been nailed with so many times, just in life in general. I build custom cars, and I have a couple trophies that are called the against the grain one.
That's hilarious.
So it's perfect.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's
just,
perfect that you did that, because I think my whole style is, but that also comes from, I try and not, a perfect way to put, I try and not see somebody else's, especially since probably in my early 20s. Once you see somebody else's idea, it's hard to get that idea out of your mind. If you have to build something and somebody shows you a prototype, that's the only way in your mind you think that prototype can be built. Instead, if they say, hey, you need to get to point A to point B, how the fuck is we going to get there? Let me figure it out my own way. If you show me a prototype, then it's like, fuck, I can't get that prototype out of my mind. Like, then I feel like that's the only way to get there.
Well, think about how you as a person work. You build custom cars.
Right.
You are against the grain.
There's
You're
no
different.
rules, which is cool. Yeah.
So like your mindset and your thought pattern is totally different there. And I think the way that you talk about it, here it is, people. If you want to shoot big bucks, it's not that. The hardest part about it is letting them get to the age.
That's 100%.
You have to know how to kill them. You have to know how to you can.
That would be.
You can see big bucks all the time, but you have to know how to kill them.
That's right.
That's the hardest part of that whole piece, is letting them get that old and then knowing how to kill them. That to me is
the hardest part is letting them get that old. Yeah. Becoming a killer is something that shoot your does, shoot your woodchucks. I enjoyed setting fucking mouse traps as a kid. Yeah. We lived in a rough house, and we had mice, and man, I was a mouse killing motherfucker. I figured out where mice moved. I've killed them with rugs. I've killed them with fucking newspapers. When I was a kid, I used to go to my grandparents' grain barn. Grain room, and I used to kill rats with a fucking pitchfork, because if you stood, that's when I learned to stand still. If you stood still, those fucking rats would come out and you could fucking spear them. In an odd way, I just loved fucking killing those rats. I would go to my grandparents and bale hay, and I would go right to the fucking grain room and stand there for a fucking hour and stab fucking rats. Fuck it. But it teaches you how to fucking kill shit. Yeah. And you're right, to kill big bucks, you need to learn how to kill shit. Yeah. And a lot of people, every year, which I'm very fortunate, I get a lot of great phone calls from good dudes who are like, hey, can you, help me look at my ground, which I love doing, but I'll get a lot of phone calls, hey, I just hit one. It's big. It's like, fuck. Like, how'd you hit it? I don't know. Yeah. And they shit in their fucking pants. They fucking black out. What do you mean you don't know? This is fucking leg forward or back? I don't know. Where'd you hit them? I don't know. What did you hear after the shot? I don't know. Fuck. You've never shot anything. So, and I don't pick on them. Obviously, it's like, I get it, and I've been there, but you gotta, step number one is let them get old. Step number two is become a fucking killer as fast as you can. So if you really want to be a guy that is consistently getting big shit killed, first step is you need to learn that killing, you got to learn how to be a fucking killer. And when the push comes to shove, it's not a panic mode. It's like, this motherfucker's dying. It's just, if I'm going to be able to get him killed. I still shake and fucking or I got to hang on to the seat of my tree stand.
I can't imagine you getting excited.
But it's after the shot. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. It's after the shot. I mean, I'm actually oddly, my dad, I remember saying this when I was a kid. I remember my dad telling people, hey, he's actually a pretty good little hunter. They were like, really? Because I'm kind of high strung, obviously.
A little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. I remember my dad being like, he's completely different in the woods. And I don't know why, but in the woods, I actually walk slow. I can't really tell you why. That's why I need to go to the woods, because I'm a different fucking person. Yeah. The only time I'm fast in the woods is when I'm diving into fucking elk country and there's bulls screaming. Then I'm fast as fuck. But I don't know where the fuck we were going with that conversation.
I don't either. I love it. We're just wandering. We're just out in the woods, just wandering around.
Yeah.
But
being a killer is a big one.
Yeah, and the steps of that. And I think, I'm going to speak about myself because I'm the one in the room that's not one of you two, is that for me, and I've talked about this in the last few podcasts, like, I am trying to get there where I'm confident in my ability to kill. Since I moved out there, I was telling you, hunting my wife's family, I've had more opportunities at big bucks than I'd ever had before. and I blew all those shots.
Yeah,
because I didn't have the experience.
You're right.
And all those shots are under 10 yards. I can play them back in my head over and over and over again.
Good for you though. Step number 1 is like drugs. Admit you have a fucking problem.
I have a problem. I can't hit a deer. I can't hit a deer.
You know what you need to do? This is what helped me when I was a kid. Or one thing to help me besides shooting everything, like stalking woodchucks is good for you. But we used to get nuisance permits for every farm, and I was just a farm kid, and they would literally, farmers would be like, hey, would you shoot some does? And I'd be like, fuck yeah. And I remember the DC wanted you to do it with a rifle, and they actually preferred you do it at night, which is fucking crazy.
Really?
Yeah. So I probably should edit this, but I used to shoot them all with a bow and arrow during the fucking day because I was getting practice. I fucking killed piles of does with a bow and arrow because the DEC didn't really want you. They felt like it wasn't as effective as a rifle.
I can remember that as a kid going with my dad down in Pittsford, and now there's like a cul-de-sac. I remember the exact spot.
You should probably start hunting there.
Yeah.
There's some big bucks.
Probably right in that little plot of woods back there. But anyway, I remember Dad would get nuisance permits for this place, and he'd take my brother and I down there, and he had this, we call it the Green Weenie. It was an old Chevy truck, and it had a rotted out floorboard and everything. Dad had no box on it. Dad built a huge plywood because we did firewood. Dad built a huge plywood box on it that had like 6-foot walls. And the three of us would sit in the back of there, and Dad would be,
like a portable blind.
Yeah, we'd drive it out in the field. It's farmland. The deer are used to that. They start coming out at night, and I mean that was exposure for my brother and I when we were I don't even know 5, 6 years old. I don't even know. But it's like that. It's a great point. Mike has how many tags, and he comes over the summer. He's like, dude, if you want to come over here, we want some of these deer.
You should go there and hang stands. And shoot them with your bow and arrow. I don't know what the law is on the somebody else told me it was illegal to shoot them with a fucking bow and arrow.
I think now it's we'll get our fact checker. We got a staff that checks facts.
Yeah.
No, we don't. It's me.
So that's Kevin.
Yeah, Kevin. Kevin we'll employ Kevin for this one.
The best thing you can do is learn how to get things killed with a bow and arrow. Yeah. In a does, everybody thinks killing big bucks, truthfully, is easy. They're a fucking easy beast to actually shoot. Elk are even fucking easier, even though I've hit them fucking poorly too. Does are so lightning fast and they're so worried about their fucking fawns. They are just on edge all the time. To kill a big mature doe is tough. To kill a yearling doe is even tougher because they're lightning fast. Yeah. These big old fucking bucks weigh fucking 270 pounds. They don't move that fast. No. You send a fucking arrow at the bottom part of their armpit.
I'm sitting here agreeing with you, but I can't say that I know what that's like because I never shot one.
When I get one within range, I used to shit, and now when they come in, like I even smile. I literally smile. I should put a fucking video on myself. When they come in, I always anticipate where my shot's gonna be, and a lot of people put right on it. I don't. I literally figure out if he's here. I figure out where he's coming, and then once he's in the jaws, I literally I can feel it, and I literally am like, you aren't fucking getting out of here. Now, there has been a few that have gotten out of there, so I shouldn't be so cocky, but once they get into that point, then you aren't getting the fuck out of here without getting fucking punished. And then it literally, people got to learn how to draw. When you practice drawing, I don't shoot with people. I really don't practice fucking anybody because I hate people go like this. And I know the people listening can't see me, but I'm yanking my fucking arm back, and I'm doing every time I practice shooting my bow, I bring it up slow and I draw just as if I'm drawing on a fucking 180. And I think that helps because when I do draw on big shit, it's habitual. I bring it up, I'm looking at them, and you got to know when to draw and when to stop them and if you need to stop them. And that comes from experience of, my dad always used to say when I'd wrestle, if I lost to somebody, he'd be like, you need more mat time. That kid's got a lot of mat time on it. He's got a lot of experience. Just keep pushing yourself. Mm-hmm. Get beat up every weekend. Every camp you can go to these fucking camps. You just need more mat time. That kid's got 5 years of experience on you. This kid's 206 and 8. You're fucking nothing. You have nothing compared to him. Get more mat time. Wrestle more. It's the same with killing shit.
Yeah.
And I'll talk to people and they're like, oh, I got 17 bow kills. And it's like, that's great. That's actually pretty good. You really want to be a killer, you need like a fucking 100. I think at 100, I was like, man, I felt really good.
Yeah.
And then it just keep fucking killing shit. And people don't say that on these big hunting shows. Oh, I harvested a good deer. Fuck that. You killed that deer. you're killing shit. I know it's not great to say, but I eat a lot of meat, and I know a lot of poor people, they want fucking meat. If I can get a tag for it, I'm fucking killing it.
Yeah.
I don't think I have any tags from fucking many seasons. Shit gets fucking killed.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing to do.
There's no doubt in my mind that that's why you have the success that you have, is that you're that confident in the moment. And you talk about, you have your process, and you're sitting here and I can tell that you're envisioning that deer right there in front of you.
I love it.
So like, that's part of it. Like if you can't get yourself there and get prepared for it,
you have to be the guy that wants the ball when there's 2 seconds left.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have to be that person that you don't have to be that guy, but when you're in that moment, you have to fake it till you make it. You have to pretend. You want to be Michael Jordan. Like get him the ball, and when the shit starts boiling, you've got to tell yourself, I'm a bad motherfucker. Get me the ball. I'm gonna shoot this fucking buck.
Yeah.
And that's my mantra. Like if I go somewhere, I'm the guy. I want to be the fucking guy.
Yeah.
If I'm hunting something, I'm the guy. If we go to a bar and we're ordering drinks, I'm getting the first round of drinks.
Yeah. You're an alpha, man. That's what it is.
I don't know what it is, but you have to want that. And even if you're not an alpha, it's okay because you're alone. When you're alone, you are the fucking alpha. Yeah. You're the best guy in the fucking woods. Be the fucking guy.
Right, be the man.
And that's the great thing about hunting. It's not a fucking team sport. Team sports I hate. I love team sports, but I fucking hate because other people fuck them up. You know what I mean?
Not everybody might be taking it. You're a very serious dude. If you're on a team of people and you've got, you're on a basketball team and you got 5 guys on that basketball team and there's only one person that cares.
Yeah, you're fucked.
How good's that team gonna be?
It's hard for the guy that's fucking number 1. It's hard for the guy that's number 5.
Right.
Because number 5 is like, hey, I was having a good time here. That's why bow hunting's great. It comes down to your level. Right. And you can be as successful as you want. And if you're super successful, you can't hate the guys that aren't successful. But you guys that aren't successful can't hate the fucking guys that are super successful. And that's the fucking difference.
Yeah.
And
it's doing it year after year. And I think everybody can listen to this and think, oh, well, I shot 1 big buck, or I know a guy that shot 1 big buck. But if you can do it year after year and you start building your confidence, and it's like, yep, I'm figuring this out. I have that. Confidence is everything. It really
confidence, if you could put anything into your children, breed confidence into your kids. That is actually a great point. Confidence is everything. I don't care what. There's a lot. I'm not good at this technology shit, but if my life depended on it, I would really try and clear my head and fucking be good at it. But I don't have to. So, but being confident, going into a situation and being like, I can do good at this. Confidence is the name of the fucking game.
Yep.
And when you've killed a ton of shit, you're more confident. And when you have done a lot of scouting and you know there's good bucks here and I should be sitting here, you are more confident. When you walk into the fucking woods and you just picked up your bow 2 weeks earlier and you're sitting in a stand and you actually have no reason to be sitting there, you're just sitting there because you have a stand there, you have zero fucking... I would have zero confidence.
Yeah.
That's fucking ridiculous.
Oh, maybe something to walk by, but you don't have
I would fucking rather trim my toenails short and dip them in iodine.
No, that doesn't
There's
sound good.
There's no fucking way I would go hunting without knowing where the fuck I'm going. Yeah. I would go and sit in glass for hours, and I will go to different places and evaluate shit. That's not a waste of time. Sitting in a tree stand and not having a reason to be there trying to kill something is a waste of fucking time, and guys do it constantly, and it's drives me fucking nuts.
Do you ever do that during during hunting season where you're like, tonight's not the night, I'm not gonna hunt, but I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna glass this field, or I'm gonna watch this hedgerow type of thing? Do you ever do any of that? Or
I glass during season more than I hunt.
Do you?
I probably hunted this year in New York. Actually, I hunted archery season. I actually hunted to kill 3 times, but I was afield. I don't know, probably 7 or 8 mornings and probably 7 or 8 evenings, just trying to figure out how to get it done. Mm-hmm. And I hung 3 stands. I actually hung those stands to get that deer killed and had an encounter with him each time before I finally fucking got it done. That's just my style, and I know there's somebody listening being like, he's fucking stupid. That's a waste of time. That's fine. I'm just telling you, like, this is what works for me, and I have pretty good results.
Results can't argue that.
So that's what works for me. And I know some people are like, oh, it's fucking stupid. Well,
but right. I think if you canvassed guys that are putting big bucks on the ground every year, and I listen to a ton of podcasts from people all over the country hunting different things. One of the consistent things that they say is that they spend just as much or more time scouting than they do actually hunting.
100%.
And that's off-season scouting and that's in-season scouting. And I think it's thought-provoking. It's
being a woodsman. I mean, that's just being a guy that, like, I don't consider myself a woodsman, but I go to the woods to get the fuck away. And I can't help but break things down. And you're exactly right. Just being a student or scouting it. I mean, guys that are, I don't know, great mechanics, or they work all day as fucking mechanics and then go home and build a fucking car on the side.
Yeah.
I can't.
Almost every mechanic he's always tinkering at night.
He's got something. He's not paying somebody to fix his lawnmower. He's fucking fixing it. You know what I mean? And you can't and that's why he's a sharp guy. And it's the same with hunting. The more time you spend, but it has to be quality time. My dad always say it's quality, not quantity, and I actually give him a lot of credit for that because a lot of people put in weight. There are so many guys that I actually feel bad for them because they put in more, I would say, actually effort, especially now. I don't put in the effort that I used to because my process is cleaner. They put in way more effort than me, and the results are extremely lackluster. And it's sad because they're not putting in quality effort. They're just going through the motions. When they shoot, it's sloppy. Oh, I shoot 40 arrows a day. Yeah, I shoot fucking 3.
And they're 3 good arrows.
They're 3 fucking smoke show shots.
Yeah.
And yours are all over the fucking place, and then you're adjusting your fucking sight. Mine aren't. And they shoot fucking 6 broadheaded arrows. Or actually, they'll shoot 6 field point arrows. Don't shoot field points. We kill with fucking broadheads. Shoot fucking broadhead. That's all I ever shoot, and I shoot 1 arrow at a time. Because if you shoot 2, I'm cutting fucking fletches.
Yeah. Just out of curiosity, are you a fixed blade guy or expandable?
100%, yeah.
Fixed
so
blade.
I'm such a loser. This is how...
Did that develop before going out west, or was that something that you were doing?
Yeah, when I was a kid, I started with Muzzy 75 grain trocar tip. Actually, I shot Zwickis with my recurve. Fucking, I mean, they were like 1970s. I used to sharpen
big
them.
Fat aluminum arrows with the
XX75s. Yeah. Yeah. So then when I do like I like to figure out. I'm a mechanic. I like to figure out how things work and how to make them better. But I also am a big fan of. I love equipment, but I'm a big fan of getting a system and sticking with it. And I think that and I've been sponsored by some great companies and I'm probably the worst guy to sponsor because I get a system. Hoyt used to give me a bow every year. I don't like that. I don't want a fucking bow every year. I want to shoot the same fucking bow for 5 years. My bows are like cheaters. These fucking things shoot. Yeah. And I like to get familiar with it and keep it. And this is a good system. So I actually shot Muzzy 75 grain trocar tip broadheads for the last 20 years.
No kidding.
I changed one time. I've gotten a couple sponsorships from really nice companies, and I appreciate them sponsoring me, and they send me fucking broadheads. And I shot them, and they shot okay, but it changed my system, and I don't think my shooting was as good. And I went back to these, and I like them because you can. And I'm not sponsored by Muzzy. I've never been sponsored by Fox. There's one company I'd like to be sponsored by,
right.
But they're just they work for me.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of broadheads that are fine, but I know Muzzies. I swap them out. I shoot Beeman ICS 400s. It's a cheap shit arrow, but I shoot a lot of fucking arrows, so I go through a lot of them. I can't shoot fucking ACCs. I don't even know what the hot setup is anymore, but I don't change it because
it goes back to that confidence piece. You have so much confidence in your system.
That's right. Yeah, and I know there's better systems, but I don't have the time to. I know exactly what's going to happen when I pick it up.
People were killing elk, some of the biggest game you can kill in the United States, killing elk with shit equipment. 40 years ago.
People were killing with Osage orange fucking bow and arrows and fucking shafts that were made out of a fucking stick.
Right. Yeah. So you don't need
ruthlessly killing them.
Yeah, so you can take a Beeman ICS Hunter 400 with your 75 grain Muzzies, and if you are confident in where you're putting that arrow,
I would almost. Now I'm not a spot shooter. Like I have buddies that are fucking. I got a couple buddies in different states that have won worlds. They're fucking ridiculous. But I'll shoot broadheads with fucking anybody. I love shooting fucking broadheads. And if you really want to be deadly, screw your fucking broad. That's all I ever fucking shoot. The only time I shoot a field point is when I'm breaking a string in. And I'll just bag shoot in the house just to get the string broke in so that then I can tune the fucking bow because now I know the string's not going to stretch. But then I put broadheads on and It's just broadheads all year. I don't shoot anything but broadheads because I don't fucking target shoot. I don't want to win fucking worlds. I just want to fucking hit shit. I just want to kill animals. So if you really want to advance your shooting, just my opinion. I know there's people out there like, oh, that's stupid. Well, all right.
There's always going to be somebody.
That's fine, and I'm fine with that. But like, it's paying off pretty good. Like if I were to shoot right now at 70 yards, I'd probably bet a lot of money I'm going to hit pretty fucking close. Not because I practice a lot, but because my bow, it's just going to hit. If I can exhale nice and make a good squeeze and there's not a lot of wind, it's going to fucking end up there. It's just going to. The deer I shot this year, I actually didn't mean to shoot. I did mean to shoot him. I didn't mean for my bow to go off. And I think, did we talk about that in our last podcast? It was really frustrating to get on this deer, and he did something that I've never seen a deer do, and I don't believe in fucking smart deer. Deer are fucking stupid. They're an animal. We're fucking smart.
That's right.
We are.
Yeah.
Animals are fucking dumb. They get hit in the road.
I got a degree, you know.
Yeah, I don't have any of that. But this fucking deer did the neatest thing, and I couldn't actually figure out how he was showing up, where he was showing up, like out of the fucking blue. And I got on him the first time, I got on him the second time, and I'm like, what the fuck? And then I ended up getting completely away from him by about 400 yards and fucking glassed him. And I saw what he did. And that's when I hung my last set. And I thought, and my sets were not very far apart. Like, I just didn't want to fuck up the spot and take my other tree stands down.
And move
so I just fucking hung. I have 4 tree stands now within 20 yards, maybe 30. But I figured out then I saw what he was doing, and I hung the stand and fucking drilled him. But that night, instinct took over because all of a sudden that fucker was there, and he was doing the damnedest thing. He was going way out and around and coming in this fucked up way. It was really weird. Anyways, I drew on this fucker, and it was a pretty good poke. And I settled the pin. I knew the yardage. I had already ranged it because he was hitting the same, within 3 yards, the same spot every time he was crossing this little creek. And I settled the pin, and I was kind of thinking like, fuck. And I actually knelt down pretty good like that. I settled, fucking bow went off. I'm like, oh, fuck. And everything was good. Like, his reaction was good. And then I'm like, fuck. Like, I cannot. He's not a giant. But it was like, fuck. I don't know. But the pin was there. Yeah. And so there's so much fucking foliage on. It was only I think the 11th or 10th or 11th. And I was pretty frustrated with it. I didn't actually see where the arrow hit, and I'm usually the guy that's like, where did the arrow hit? I didn't fucking see it. So I literally just lowered my fucking bow. There was still plenty of light, but I needed to get the fuck out of there. I didn't know what was going on. I literally had to walk through this shitty fucking walk. I had to walk probably 2.5, 3 miles to get out so I didn't feel like I bumped him.
Right.
That fucker was dead. I smoked him. But anyways, I backed out, and then I wasn't confident with the shot, so I just left him overnight. And, of course, you don't sleep. And went back in the morning and tracked them, and they had just disked this fucking cornfield.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and I'm like, ugh. They disked it the night before. Or no, they had picked it. And when I started tracking them, I went back to where the shot was, found my arrow, and I remember thinking I said to myself, holy fuck, you hit him. You know? And I picked up my arrow. I was amazed. I'm looking at my arrow, and it wasn't great blood, but it was pretty good blood. And I thought, well, shit. But in this picked cornfield, it was hell. And then I could hear the farmers were already disking it. And I'm like, fuck. But I know them, so I thought, well, if they get up there. Luckily, it was too wet, and they didn't finish disking it. And, man, it took me like 2 hours to blood trail. And I actually had friends flying in from New Hampshire to actually hunt. They have 2 little boys that wanted a bow hunt. So they came up here to bow hunt, and we shot the shit out of the deer with them. But anyways, fucking deer only went like 80 yards. But I didn't have good blood, so I was on my hands and knees, and I looked up, and he was almost scared me. He was right in front of me. But long story short, that instinct, I mean, I really am a big believer in like your body and your brain. Your brain's amazing. Your brain will take over for you. But if you're habitual and you're really confident in yourself, it's going to take over, and just do it. And I even told my wife, I'm like, fuck, I don't know. She's like, why did you, like, if you didn't like the shot, why did you shoot? Because I preach, like, if it's not a good shot, don't be an asshole. Don't take it.
Just let down.
Yeah, just let down, because you have better odds of killing him if you have the balls to let down and try and get him on another hunt. Because I drew on that. I could have drawn on that deer. I think I drew on him the first night, and it just wasn't. There was too much foliage, and I like that. Like, I'm kind of proud of that. I didn't shoot him the first night. I didn't shoot him the second night. I shot him the third night. It wasn't that. I didn't think it was that great. I fucking pinwheeled him. It was a long shot. It was 54 yards, which is, I think, is long for a whitetail.
For a whitetail,
but you know what? He's big. That was a big. I don't know if you saw any pictures of him. He was a big, heavy-bodied fucking stud. They don't.
That was
jump.
your archery buck this year.
Yeah.
I think you sent me a picture of that when we were texting back and forth.
Yeah, right. Okay. They don't jump the string. I mean, they do. You want to shoot them low.
But he was probably calm. Like, if that deer was on point, you wouldn't have taken that shot.
That's right. If he was on point, I wouldn't have taken that long of a shot. But when they're on point, you just need to aim for their armpit, try and miss them. And I did that with a doe one time, and that was a big learning curve for me too. I hit a doe. My buddy actually filmed it back when VHS the camcorder was this fucking big.
Yeah.
And I always prided myself on being a good shot, and my buddy fucking filmed it, and I shot it was like a 13-yard shot, and I hit her high, and we never found that doe, and I must have watched that video on rewind. I'll bet I watched it 100 times, and it made me sick, but I watched how much she dropped. I'll bet she dropped a foot.
Okay.
So the next time I went out and I said, you know what, I'm going to shoot right underneath this doe. And that was my goal. I said, I don't need this doe. I'm going to shoot underneath this doe. And I aimed like an inch below her armpit. I fucking centered her. They just drop a ton. And then I started to realize my username on Archery Talk 15 years ago was shoot low. So you got to learn that, but you got to know how much they're going to drop and when they're going to drop. I shot a big one. It's not in here. It's actually in the barn. Real wide one years ago. They were timbering this piece of ground that I love, and there was treetops everywhere, and it sucked. They were literally timbering it during hunting season, but I learned a lot from this buck. It was super windy, but I was 23 or 24 and just burned all my vacation time just fucking bow hunting, you know. And I was going somewhere, Ohio or something, and this was my last move on this buck, and sure as shit he showed up, and I was so tickled. He's real wide. He actually didn't score shit. Short tines, but just, I think he's like 22 inches inside. Damn. Fucking cool deer, you know? Yeah. And for New York, that's just great. Came in, quarter two, didn't have a fucking shot. He's like 18 yards, and he's just standing there. He stood there for like 45 minutes. It was really windy. And
he just couldn't figure out.
He didn't know what was going on. And finally he turned 18 yards, and I drew, and I shoot him low. I mean, I do like, their heart is 2 inches off the bottom of their chest. So if you miss their heart and hit them low, you don't hurt them at all. They're not, it's just fat and brisket. If you hit them 3 inches on the bottom of their chest, you smoked them. They're dead. So I aimed fucking low, and I aimed right for the bottom white of his armpit. And I shot, and that arrow went right where I fucking aimed. He never fucking moved because it was so windy. He never heard the shot. And he jumped a little bit, and he just looked around because the arrow hit the fucking ground right next to him. Yeah. And my heart's pounding thinking about it. My heart started pounding, and I thought, this was the one I was after. And it's like, fuck. And I knocked another arrow right away, and he was 35 yards. I ranged him, and he was quartered away a little bit, and he finally turned and opened himself up a little bit. And I thought, I'm putting my fucking 40 right on the bottom because I know I'm going to be a little high, and shot. And it was so windy, he never heard that shot. Smoked him. But he never jumped because they weren't loud, hearing the shot. Yeah, it was too windy. So you have to take that into account when you're hunting. Okay, it's dead calm. And if you go bat and stop him, that's fine. It's good. Aim fucking low because he's going to jump. And if you don't stop him, if you draw on him and they're just don't shoot them walking for one. Ever shoot them fucking walking because it's impossible. And just let them stop. If they stop naturally, put it on the bottom, two inches up from the bottom of their chest, and let that motherfucker eat. They're going to jump the fucking string. And the yardage matters too. 20 yards nowadays with these fucking bows shooting 320 feet per second.
They don't even know what hit them.
Put it a little bit low, but I mean, still shoot low. Shoot fucking low. They react pretty good. Yeah. But when it's out there further, that's a little stuff you kind of got to figure out.
Yeah. And you figure that out.
It comes from judgment. Right. Yeah. I mean, you kind of just get it. I right now, it's hard. Like my daughter's hunting, and it's hard to tell her this is where you want to aim. I do, but her shots are really close. I don't let her shoot far at all. I want everything to be success. I don't want her having too many fuck ups. Yeah. But the fuck ups you learn from too. She'll have her fuck ups when she goes on her own. Yeah. But
so that's one of the last points I wanted to hit on is getting your kids into the outdoors, because I see you as we've started to connect. I've connected with you on Facebook and I've seen some of the stuff. You're very engaged with your girls. You got 3 girls and you've got them out there doing everything.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. Oh, I love them. Yeah. So as far as getting them involved in hunting, I mean, they have gone with me, cricket, my oldest daughter, I've taken her, they've just always gone with me scouting because I needed to go scout. It's a way of life. But I never, if they want to hunt, they can it's my passion. It's not theirs. Cricket she's interested in it. She likes to hunt. She knows big deer, which is exciting to me. Like she knows.
That's your oldest daughter?
That's my oldest. She knows big deer better than most 40-year-old men that think they're serious. Like she shot a 90-inch deer in Ohio this year because I told her first buck you get a shot at. It's her first deer, and she wanted to let him go. And I'm like, you can do it. This is your decision. You can do anything you want. We only have 2 days. This is a great deer. Like, get him fucking killed. She's got the right attitude. She's like, I think there's better deer. And I'm like, well,
that's awesome.
It's completely up to you. We have it all on video and it was on my fucking iPhone, but I loved her thought process. And she's like, all right, I've never killed anything. I'm going to take this one, but the next one's going to be bigger. And when she killed him, she was thrilled, which I didn't want her to be like, oh, this isn't big enough. She was fucking pumped. But if she's into it, great. My middle daughter, she goes scouting with me all the time. Like they're my kids. They like being with me, and I like taking them. But if she wants to hunt, I'd love to have her hunt. And my youngest daughter's still she's 9. All of them go scouting with me. And the neat thing is we don't actually go as a group. It never works as 3. It's too many. We just go, if I'm going, it's funny how one of them will be like, oh, can I go with you? And it's like, yep. All right, you're going with me. And we have gone, all 3 of us. It's a shit show. It's
just a lot to keep track of.
It's a lot to keep track of. It's too much movement. But they actually don't. They like their one-on-one. They actually, if one of them says they're going, the rest of the other 2 will just stay at home. And they're old enough now they can stay at home. When they were little, I used to take all 3 of them. And that was really kind of that was a tough point in my hunting career, really. And that would come, I did better in just going out in the mornings quick and glassing. But yeah, I like getting any kid. I mean, hunting really saved my life. Saved my life. It gave me confidence, like you were saying, and gave me good. Every kid should just be alone. I think we're missing that. Everybody's got a fucking phone, and everybody's connected, and everybody's always nobody's bored. And I think it's good for your mind to be bored and just think. And when you're out in the woods, it's not that you're bored, but you have different interaction, and you're actually thinking. Whereas when you have your fucking phone. I'm on my phone all the time. I'm guilty of it. I fucking hate it. But I'm a better thinker when I'm not on that. I like going to bed because I'll just lay there and think.
Yeah.
It sounds. Yeah. I love the shower because I can't take my fucking phone. Yeah. And I think that's good for kids.
They make you could use a Ziploc bag or something, but
I should be adult enough to not be on my fucking phone.
But we live in a tough time because if you're not, like, if you could.
Pornhub, I get it. Just say it.
Yeah, no, I didn't want to go there, but that's one of your biggest.
Pornhub. I mean, how the fuck? It's amazing.
It is. It's like the whole world right there.
If I was a 14-year-old boy now with an iPhone, how do these poor kids even focus?
They can't focus.
There's
that's part of the problem.
No way. Oh my God. Just sneaking my dad's Playboys blew my mind.
I know.
That's literally what we had, hard copy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you couldn't just Google what you were interested in, what you wanted to see. I'm curious about that.
Right.
You had to read the tutorials.
They had good stories in there, though. Good quality stories.
The odd point was when I got older, I realized I was pretty sure that men were writing these seductive stories, and it ruined it for me. I remember thinking, I don't think this housewife's writing this.
Yeah, this now makes me feel a little uncomfortable with that.
I think some 80-year-old dude is writing this. But
but I think that, that's one of the big things about what our kind of our mission is with our podcast and with our social media page with Pert Near Outdoors is getting people, whether it's kids or whether it's, friends that have never hunted before, but making the outdoors. And I think, watching folks like yourself or like my wife's cousins, they've got girls, and making it fun for them. And, a lot of people might look and say, well, you had girls, they're not going to be interested in hunting. And it's like, no, like if they want to, they got every opportunity in the world to get out there and chase it and do exactly what Dad's doing. And
yeah. Well, and every kid is different. I mean, there's boys that aren't into hunting, and that's fine.
Yeah.
They're my dad was an artist, and I'm just not. into his, like, I actually am good at drawing and stuff, but it's not my dynamic. And he was really good at being like, yeah, it's not your thing. It's fine. He wasn't into cars. That's good. Like, everybody has their own thing. And if my kids aren't into hunting, that's fine. And if you have a little boy who you want to be a hunter or into cars and he's not, that's fucking fine. Figure out what he's into and help that fucking kid be great at that. I think it's good for kids to be outdoors. My daughters don't have a choice. Like, they cut and split wood. I mean, we have to yell at them to come in. Like, it's time to come in.
Awesome.
You got to come inside, and you're exactly, I think people should see the sun come up. People should sit in a tree stand in the dark and watch the fucking sun come up. Start hearing the squirrels rustling, and they should hear deer farting. And I mean, things that deer do, it's like.
I've never heard a deer fart.
Really?
No.
I bet you have. You've probably not realized that.
Maybe thought it was
you
a
take
grouse.
Binoculars a lot?
Yeah.
Glass constantly. I am always glassing. I can't believe how much deer fart. I can't believe how much they sneeze. You ever hear deer sneeze?
Let me ask you this. Do you hear better when you're glassing?
I hear better when I close my eyes. I know it's fucking weird.
Well, no, it's not. But I swear
I'm a weirdo.
I swear to God, I hear better when I'm glassing. And I don't know if that's because I'm focused and then other sense is. Yeah, but I hear things better when I'm in the woods, when I've got my binos up and I'm glassing. I'm like, oh, I just heard something.
Well, could be.
I didn't know if that's where you're going, because you asked me if I've heard a deer fart, and then you're like, do you take binoculars in the woods?
Yeah. Well, a lot of people aren't. I think it's when you're, and maybe that's where I was going with that. When you're glassing stuff, you'll actually see their bodies move, and then you'll hear, what was that? And then it's like,
you're gonna have a year's worth of sound bites from this one podcast.
I know.
Yeah, I know. We're probably running on, but if you can turn your phone off and really look for shit and listen to things, like the first time I ever heard a deer grunt, I can tell you what fucking tree I was sitting in, and I was so. Like, I had made numerous grunt calls. Bah, bah, bah. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. And it was the rut, and I was pretty young, and I climbed up this black walnut tree. I had already previously hung a stand in this black walnut tree. It was on the edge of this. It was a great little spot. I fucking got in there. I got up in my stand, and there was this swale field, and all I heard was meh, 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 all the way down this field. Meh, meh. It was a buck tendon grunt. And it was dark. Couldn't see shit. And you could hear him running through the brush. And that was the first time I heard it. And then I knew how to grunt. And I heard a snort wheeze. And it was like, what the fuck is that? Like, what's going on? And I started to put together, and the sun came up, and then I watched it all happen. And it was like, I learned so much about calling deer right then. And I watched a smaller buck come in, and he was just like, meh, 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 meh. Like, he wanted to be a part of it. And then the big buck was just like, meh.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, timid. Fuck. Like, this. Now I know how to imitate all this. So before you go calling and doing all this bullshit that you're watching on TV, think about what's happening in your area and imitate the sounds you hear. Don't imitate the shit you're hearing on a Missouri river bottom, because they're hearing a completely different fucking beast. And the way I call in Kansas or Illinois or Iowa or fucking Ohio compared to the way I call here, all of them are different, because I've heard different things in different places. So imitate exactly what you hear in your area. Even the way you rattle. I've killed a lot of deer. Man, I don't even want to say this one. This is a deadly one. I think I should keep it for my own podcast.
You can do that.
I'm just kidding.
Jesse, you keep what's yours.
I'll bet you I've killed 7 or 8 good bucks early season by rattling.
Here in New York?
Here in New York, but not rattling like the shit, because I've seen so many bucks come out. One came from over here, one came from over there, and then all of a sudden they meet and they'll circle, and then you just hear click, 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 click.
They're just checking each other out. They're not
checking.
battling.
There is no battle. They're just letting you know, I'm here, you're here. They tickle horns, and they smell each other, and they go away. And when you do click, click, you'd be amazed. Sit tight, and all of a sudden there's one. Don't let him see you, and once he knows your direction, just give him a little tickle and then fucking stop, and he's going to come. It's a great, but the problem is people don't do that. They're clacking it together, and it's like, holy fuck, it's day 3 of season. We're not in the rut yet, guys. You got to put the fucking huge antlers away. Just tickle them. But it comes from experience.
Yeah, that's a great point. And you're full of it, Jesse. You got all kinds of
full of beans, right?
Dude, we could sit here, and we're gonna get back together. There's a lot of other stuff I'd like to chat with you about, but we're going on an hour and a half here. We've covered everything I had on my list and more.
All right, good. Yeah, sorry to ramble on.
No, you're not rambling. And my whole goal of this podcast was to get you on here, and you've got your own platform now. But a lot of times when you have your own platform, you don't get to really figure out who that host is and what they're all about. And I think maybe we peel back the onion a little bit tonight. That you might seem hard on the outside, but I think you've got a big heart on the inside. That you're everything you said today. Somebody can listen to this and take away lessons on how to make themselves a better hunter and to help get bigger bucks in their area. And all of this could be taken down and could be learned from.
Yeah, that's why we named our podcast Hunt Different, because we slightly hunt different, and I want people to like. I love success. I hope you take something from this and you're like, fuck yeah, I got thinking about what he was saying and this worked for him. I'm going to try it. And you're going to be like, holy fuck. Like the way you enter and escape places, like especially if you're hunting with other people, don't keep doing it the same way everybody's doing it. Even if it sounds stupid, like try something completely different. And you might be like, holy fuck. Like, but then it sounds bad. Don't tell everybody else in the camp because they're going to start fucking doing it.
Yeah.
But
hey, that's lessons to be learned for sure.
But no, thanks for having us. I appreciate it. And sorry to chat too much. I'm looking at Kevin now. I don't even think we let Kevin talk.
Do you have anything to say, Kevin?
No, it's fine.
Give a plug for your guys' podcast. You're the brains behind the organization.
Yeah, I'm actually impressed. Jesse actually remembered the name of it.
There's a couple times I forgot.
Yeah.
So yeah, Hunt Different.
You just got to remember Hunt. You like to do that.
Yeah. Hunt,
and
I like
and
to
you
do
are
everything
different.
Yeah, you should be able to remember it. But no, that's the name. We just started, so hoping to grow that a little bit. But.
Yeah, you got a pretty good reaction to that video you guys made. Your little fun video.
Thanks. You had
a ton of views on that. It's pretty impressive.
That was inspired by years of New York bullshit.
Yeah. My brother sent me a message. He's like, "What the fuck?" He goes, "Was that about us?" I'm like, "Well, yeah, pretty much."
Oh no, it wasn't.
I know it wasn't, but there's so many of us. Like, yeah, that's pretty much.
Oh no, it was not. Kevin started. Well, no, this is literally a 30-year-old fucking. I mean, anybody who's watching, what was the name of it? He is an old deer.
Yeah,
he's an old deer. Oh, we were dying
He's an
laughing.
old deer because for
it drives me
years,
nuts.
it drives me nuts. You'll run into somebody, hey, and it's like, oh, it's great. Like, leave it. You shot a fucking year and a half old. That's fine. I'm like, good. Oh, you made a great shot. I'm fine with that. And then they're like, yeah, he was going downhill. No, it's a fucking yearling. It was bad enough that you shot a yearling, but now that you're telling me he's fucking 7.5, and this is the same 4-point that you've been hunting for fucking 7 years, you sound stupid. And we all hear these guys. So Kevin and I were joking about it one day. We were just joking about, because it was hunting season.
Middle of the season, yeah.
Fucking people and the things. And I don't think if I know somebody and I'm friends with them, then I'm fucking rude to them.
Yeah.
But if I don't know you, I'm like, hey, good for you. And they say all kinds of dumb shit. And it's like, oh, that's good.
They try to justify it. It's not to justify it.
That's
if you
right.
shot a little buck and that's what you wanted to shoot, then that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
But don't try to tell me about all this.
Tell me,
no.
I didn't have a tall DC. They couldn't even age them. No, the DC didn't want to tell you you're a fucking asshole. That's what it is.
Yeah,
but,
that video, it strikes home with every hunting camp, every group of guys, because everybody has done that. Everybody's heard somebody say it. Like, we're literally at Christmas dinner and we're like reenacting you holding the horns out and saying it's a 120 pointer. We counted every one of these.
And that guys will literally look at points and be like, yeah, I mean, technically he's a 19 point. Like, he is a straight up 6 point. Right. But we had fun with it, and we were actually texting. You sent me a picture. Can I even say what the? Or I probably shouldn't say what.
No, don't say
I don't think it wasn't a local guy, but somebody posted a picture of something, and just what he wrote was like exactly what we had just been talking about, and it was like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. So Kevin, being the editing guru he is, he's like, we have to do a video. And Kevin has this dry humor. He doesn't look very funny, but the kid is funny as fuck. He looks so serious. He looks kind of funny. He looks so professional and serious. But the kid is fucking hilarious. And we got texting funny shit back and forth. My wife's like, who are you texting? I'm literally fucking laughing. And I'm supposed to be spending time with my family. And then I was telling Jerry about it in the shop the next day. And he starts throwing shit in there. I'm like, we have got, fuck it. Kevin's
is that
right.
who was in the video?
Yeah, that's one of my other buddies. The kid with the orange hat.
Yeah, that's a classic.
He brought that hat. And it's like fucking so true. This is the hat. This is my lucky hat. I knew one guy one time. We got to go, I know. But he had this fucking bright orange jacket. And I remember there were brown stains all over it. I won't even say his name. Fuck it, I'm going to say his name. I was like, John, what is up with your jacket? It was a hunting jacket. He's like, this is my lucky jacket. I'm like, your lucky jacket? He's like, I have never washed it. He's like, I purposely get deer blood on it. Every deer I kill, every deer I've ever killed has the... And I'm like, you are such a fucking loser with your... And he was a yearling shooter as well.
Yeah, wash your jacket, man.
Wash your fucking jacket.
It smells and I don't like to be near you.
Oh, God. But yeah, we had fun with that. He's an old deer. He is a old deer. And the shit this guy wrote in his thing was just what we all hear, you know, and I really enjoyed doing that.
Yeah,
it was fun. We got to do another one.
So go over, so just plug your Hunt Different. So go over, if you're on Facebook primarily is where you guys have your page there. So go on Facebook and search Hunt Different. You'll see you're doing a video of each one of your podcasts. So you have the video there, as well as, you know, the video we're talking about, the He's an Old Buck video, so that you can see that on there too. And Kevin, if you want to, do you want to give a plug for your photography?
Oh yeah, no. Yeah, I just do a little photography on the side. Millstone Film Company is the name of my photography business. So
yeah,
it's mainly agricultural though. I do quite a bit of wildlife, but the main part of my business is agricultural.
Yeah,
photography, so.
I love watching your stuff and seeing what you post. I mean, you're very, very talented in your
humble
photography.
With it. Oh, I just do a little photography.
You're like, yeah,
amazing.
I guess I'll plug this. But I mean, I love come harvest season when you start doing all your stuff with drones and following around the farmers. Like, a lot of us are all local around here, and you get with these guys, and it's just cool to see everybody getting work done. And the work that you do with that end of things is really cool. So definitely encourage people to check that out as well.
Yeah, he's a pro at everything he does. That's what's neat.
Well,
even for Christ's sake, look at his clothing. I mean, everything is
he's
so
a
perfect.
Professional.
He is.
Yep. I mean, he's kind of looks like you, but he's the next level.
Yeah, he's definitely way better.
Next
Tall, good looking.
Yeah.
I mean, the receding hairline's kind of awkward.
Yeah.
When you got this
I got one
full
too.
head of hair over here.
Yeah.
My wife and I, this is the last thing that we're going.
Yeah.
She told me I have to stop going to my hairdresser because it's over.
Just buzz it.
Just buzz it.
I can
Yeah,
relate.
fuck it.
But
I think
hold
dudes
out.
look so much better when they just... You guys are both close. At least you're not trying to save it.
Coming from the guy with a nice fade and a little swoosh work.
I have not paid for a haircut in over 20 years. This is fuck. You don't want to know the problem?
You just
My
get
hair-
out of bed and it looks
My hair
that good.
grows so fucking fast. It's annoying. I had a haircut, I would say 8 or 9 days ago, and it looks like I haven't. It's
Rough.
fucking bad.
Yeah.
Now, I like my head shaved, but if I shave it, I look like a fucking Q-tip in 3 days.
All right, let's end it there.
Yeah, hey, thanks,
All right,
man. Thanks for having
Jesse.
us. Great
Appreciate
talking
it.
to you.
Absolutely.